And the next visit I wanted to talk about was with one of my personally favorite animals. How many of you guys like elephants? You? Good. Well, one of my favorite things about elephants is the fact that they are just such smart animals. And whenever the vets have to deal with them, it's very easy to provide examinations because these elephants are trained so superbly to let us examine their bodies. For example, in this picture you can see Congo, which is one of our female elephants, and you can see Dr. Bonner looking into her eye to try and take an ophthalmology exam. And what you can see here are two of the zookeepers, and this is Karen, she's actually the head of the elephant facility, and they have these poles. I don't know if you can see that in the picture, but these poles help the elephant understand where its head and where its behind is supposed to line up in accordance to the bars, so that the doctor can get into the range where it can be looking at these different things on the animal. And this is actually a video where you can see the pole right here, and you can see Dr. Bonner with his stethoscope going into the main vein going through the trunk to try and get a pulse. And you can see the keeper is really trying to keep her calm and is trying to keep her head in that position by giving her that positive feedback. In this video, you can really see how awesome the trainers are because they get, with the auditory command, they can get Kamba to pull her trunk up, open her mouth, and bring it straight into the bars so that Dr. Bonner can look in and make sure that everything is okay in her mouth. And the reason that this is just so helpful is because it makes it so these giant animals don't have to go under anesthesia every time a doctor needs to give them a checkup. And the final couple mentor visits I want to talk to you about was a gorilla quarantine exam. So you can see in this picture, you can actually see me, and I promise I'm smiling, but I have a mask on so you can't really tell. And I am with a 9-year-old female gorilla named Megan, and she came from the Gladys Park Zoo. And basically the zoo's policy with any animal that comes in from another zoo is they have a certain period of time where they cannot associate with any other animals of the zoo, and this is called their quarantine period. And after this quarantine period, the animal has a full checkup and workup to make sure that there's no kind of disease or issue that could help transfer to the other animals that are in their exhibit. So that's what we were doing with Megan, and you can see her intubation tube. You can see that she's actually getting fluids right now because she's trying to wake up from the anesthesia, and she's trying to make sure that she's very hydrated. And in this picture, you can kind of see her size relative to what, this is actually Dr. Connolly. She's probably about my height, about 5'5". So you can see that this gorilla is about the same size as us. So that's really cool that you get to work with animals that range from little tiny birds to giant elephants and to gorillas that are very similar to humans. And this is actually a picture of me with a baby lappet-faced vulture. And I realized that one of my favorite things that getting to mentor in the zoo is getting to see all the different babies. And I know that sounds pretty cliche, but if I could be a veterinary pediatrician, that would be my dream job. Babies are very susceptible to disease, and they have a lot of really interesting things with dealing with them to make sure that they're healthy, because they're so much more susceptible than adults. Like for this lappet-faced vulture, we had to give it its vaccination, and since they're not very good with needles because they're so young, you actually have to send the vaccine straight through a part of their wing. But that was a very cool experience. Now I wanted to talk about the independent study side of the independent study and mentorship. And my first big project I had to do all year was this research project known as Original Work. And my original work was a compilation of all the different animals that are in the zoo. I did a profile on them. So I had a few fun facts about those individual species. I had their name, their scientific name, which is their taxonomy. I talked briefly about their diet, what their habitat is like, what their native region is, and also what their conservation status is under the IUCN. And my original work, also had a great portion of it in regards to diseases. So I had 3 full pages, well 3 full sections of about 20 to 40 pages each that outlined any disease that an animal that we have in the zoo could procure. And it's organized by mammals, birds, and reptiles and amphibians. And you can kind of look through that and it'll say what the name of the disease is, and they are all alphabetized. And it'll say some of the symptoms, the major animal groups that are affected, treatment methods, and things that would really help if you're actually a zoo veterinarian in the field. And the second big project we have all year is called Final Product. And this is supposed to be a compilation of everything we've learned in this program. And for me, I wanted to do a website. And so my website has information about Dr. Bonner. It talks about the ISM program itself. It talks about it has all the different animal profiles I did for original work. It has all the diseases that I covered on original work. And it also has this part called Cases, which is part of it's from my final product from last year. And it talks about some of the common procedures that you can see in a veterinary clinic and also in a zoo. So this is my website. It is called ismzoomed.com if you want to go ahead and Google that and look it up for yourself. And when you go to the homepage, it talks about my mentor, Dr. Bonner, and I have his full biography. And if you wanted to see all his different professional organizations, they're all on there. And then I also have a tab that just talks about ISM and about all the amazing things that students have accomplished in this program. And it also has a link to the ISM homepage. So if y'all want to go home after this and really read more about what ISM is about, y'all can do that. And then the Animals tab is the one that covers the different animal profiles that are from my original work. So with any of these animals, they're organized alphabetically with all the different names of the species, and so all you have to do is just click on one of the names. Let's say y'all want to do chimpanzee, and it'll bring up their profile, where it'll talk about all the different things that I said about their biography. And then on the disease tab, it will have this kind of a document that I was talking about before. And it has the alphabetized diseases, the groups, how it is transmitted, some of the clinical signs and symptoms, the severity of the disease, and it also talks about potential treatment methods. And then for a procedure tab, I want one of y'all to pick a procedure. So what sounds good to y'all? Dental, lumpectomy, foreign body removal? Dental? Alright, we'll do dental. So they're organized alphabetically by the different kinds of procedures. And so for this dental exam, it has pictures that are accompanied by little bullet points that talk about each step in the process of the procedure. So for this dental, you have a before shot of a Chihuahua last year that was just had his teeth caked in tartar and bacteria. And then it talks about how we start by inserting a catheter, we give it pre-medication, we give it anesthetics, and we insert that breathing tube that I was talking about. And then it also has where we scrape the hardened calculus off the teeth with tartar crackers. You ultrasonic scale the teeth, which is actually something that dentists do. I don't know if you remember that machine that kind of has that really high pitch that goes at your teeth to try and get off some of the plaque. And you can actually see a picture of that. All the pictures have a caption on what step they correspond to. And then you can see in step 6 they're polishing the teeth with fluoride to make that enamel really hard and healthy. In picture 7 you see them removing teeth, because this is actually something a lot of humans don't realize, is that teeth are kind of a cosmetic thing. I mean, sure, you need a few of them to make sure you can eat food, but for the most part, if you have a rotten tooth, it's better just to pull it out than to try and spend a ton of money to try and save this tooth that has a rotten root. And so that's actually a big part of the dental procedure, is removing teeth. And then you can see the after, where you can actually see the shape of teeth because they're white and they're not brown and black. And then after the process, I also have a paragraph that just talks about the importance of the procedure. And some of these procedures are cosmetic, such as a declaw in domestic felines. But when it comes to a dental exam, there is a great importance to it, because if your animal doesn't have a dental exam, it can lose teeth, it's more likely to have heart issues. And this is something that not only just happens in small animal, but also in zoo animal medicine. So these procedures are found in both realms. And so it's something that really bridges the gap from my experiences last year and also from what I've seen this year. So now that I've kind of talked about what my experiences are this year, I wanted to tell y'all a little bit about my future plans. Next year, I will be attending Texas A&M University, where I will be majoring in biomedical science, and I love A&M. It is such a great campus. It fits me really well, and then I'm also going to be doing this thing called Chorus Cadet, which a lot of people don't know what that is, but those are the people that you see in the uniforms, and they're also the members of the Fightin' Texas Aggie Band, and so I'm very excited to be a part of that. And now I wanted to take about 5 to 15 minutes just to give y'all a chance to ask me some questions about my presentation, just about being a veterinarian in general. I want y'all to tell me anything that y'all need to know. Thank y'all very much for watching my speech. I hope I didn't bore you too badly, and I guess that I will see y'all when I watch your speeches online. Thank y'all for watching.